The Ourang Medan ghost ship. The slow, calm, atmospheric retelling night falls differently over the open sea. It does not descend like a curtain, nor does it drift down softly like dusk in a quiet town. Instead, it expands, a living, breathing thing that swallows the horizon whole. On calm nights, the ocean looks like endless black glass. On stormy nights, it becomes a churning void. On one such night, sometime in the late 1940s, a faint radio distress signal drifted across the vast expanse of the Strait of Malacca. Crackling, fractured, and barely coherent, it pulsed through the static like the heartbeat of something dying. SOS, Ourang Medan, all officers, including captain, dead, lying in sharp room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. A pause. The crackle. Then one final, chilling message spoken in a tone witnesses later described as inhumanly calm. I die. And then nothing. Underscore 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 underscore. The sea that remembers seafarers often say the ocean remembers every ship, every storm, every whispered prayer. It holds onto stories the way cliffs hold fossils, layered, pressed, and preserved by time. Among these oceanic legends, few are as quietly unsettling as the tale of the SS Ourang Medan, a Dutch cargo ship that allegedly sailed into the pages of maritime history only to vanish just as quickly. There are no surviving crew members, no official records that conclusively prove its existence, no cargo logs, no blueprint, nothing but stories carried across decades by sailors, investigators, and those who study mysterious maritime ghost encounters, hoping to understand what truly happened on that drifting steel tomb. Tonight, we revisit that story slowly, carefully, and with respect for the dead. Underscore 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 underscore. A floating whisper in the dark. The first ship to receive the distress call was the Silver Star, an American merchant vessel traveling through the strait. Its radio operator, a quiet man named Lawrence Hale, was half asleep when the strange signal began filtering through. At first, he assumed it was static. Then the voice emerged, thin, trembling, and barely human. Hale sat upright so suddenly that he knocked his coffee to the floor. He listened again. The voice repeated, "Captain dead, crew dead." Hale called for his captain immediately, and together they triangulated the signal, confirming that it originated from a vessel drifting not far from their own course. The Ourang Medan. The name none of them recognized. Captain Francis Baker of the Silver Star ordered the course changed. For reasons no one aboard the ship would ever be able to fully articulate, he felt pulled toward that distress signal. Even those who later criticized his decision admitted that ignoring such a message would have gone against every unspoken rule of life at sea. A captain answers a distress call, no matter who, no matter when, no matter what. And so, the Silver Star turned toward its fate. underscore 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 underscore. The ghost ship of the Strait. At the first sight, the morning sun had just begun to burn away the mist when the silhouette of the Ourang Medan came into view. It drifted silently, without anchor or sail, like a dark island in motion. Its hull was streaked with rust. No lights. No signs of life. Not even gulf circled its masts, an absence that unsettled even the most seasoned sailors. "Dead ship," one whispered. "Haunted," another muttered. "No," Captain Baker said firmly. "Just abandoned." But he didn't fully believe his own words. Then they pulled alongside the motionless vessel. Its metal sides groaned softly with the movement of the sea, as if exhaling after a long, restless night. The boarding party was small, 5 men, including First Officer Peter Sanders, a veteran of the maritime world with nearly 30 years under his belt. As they climbed the rope ladder onto the deck of the Ourang Medan, a strange stillness settled over them. No wind. No sound. Not even the creaking typical of ships at rest. It was as if the vessel were holding its breath. Underscore 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 I. The deck of the Dead. The first body was found near the starboard rail. A young sailor, face frozen in a grimace soaken toward it. It looked more like a mask than a human expression. His eyes were white, staring at something none of the boarding party could see. His arms were raised, as if he had tried to shield himself in his final moments. Sanders knelt beside the body and touched the young man's wrist. "Cold," he whispered. "Colder than any corpse should be under the morning sun." But that was only the beginning. As they moved across the deck, they found more bodies, each one twisted, eyes wide open, limbs frozen mid-motion. Some lay sprawled as if struck down suddenly, others huddled near bulkheads, their faces locked in identical expressions of pure terror. "What could do this?" one sailor asked. But no one had an answer. Underscore 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 I. The bridge. Sanders led the group to the bridge, where the radio officer of the Ourang Medan had sent his final message. The door creaked like a hinge in an old house. Inside, more bodies. The captain sat slumped in his chair, head tilted back, mouth open. Another officer lay across the chart table, his fingers still touching the edge of a map of the strait. But most disturbing of all was the position of the radio operator. He sat perfectly upright, eyes open, mouth slightly parted as though he were still speaking into the microphone. The radio itself was off. Sanders touched the man's shoulder. His body toppled like a wooden statue, and the room suddenly smelled faintly of something strange, an odor like burnt almonds mixed with rot. One of the boarding team gagged. Gas leak. Poison. No idea, but Sanders felt something else, an invisible tension in the air, something that made his skin crawl. He cleared his throat. "Let's check below deck," he said. Part of him desperately hoped for a survivor. Another part prayed not to find one. Underscore 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 IV. The cargo hold, the stairs leading below creaked uneasily under their boots. The moment they reached the lower level, the temperature dropped sharply, so sharply that Sanders could see his breath. "This makes no sense," he muttered, rubbing his arms. "We're in the tropics." The narrow hallway was lined with closed cabin doors. Some were locked. Some were ajar. Others hung crooked, as if someone had torn them open. The bodies continued, each one the same, eyes wide, mouths open, limbs twisted in positions no living person could hold. But there was something else. Scratch marks. On walls. On doors. On the metal floor. As if the crew had tried desperately to claw their way out of something, or escape something. "What happened here?" whispered one sailor. Again, no one answered. At the end of the hallway, they reached the cargo hold. The large steel door was slightly open, as if pushed from the inside. Sanders hesitated. Then he pulled it open. Inside was darkness. Cold, thick darkness. The hold was nearly empty, only a few wooden crates stacked against one wall, each marked with faded Dutch lettering that none of the men could decipher. "Let's take a look," Sanders said. But as they moved closer to the crates, the temperature dropped again sharply, unnaturally. Sanders froze mid-step. The others did too. From somewhere within the darkness came a soft sound. Not quite a whisper. Not quite a breath. More like a faint, low hum, alive, vibrating, almost like the sound of something stirring. One of the sailors stepped back. "Nope. I'm out." Sanders felt his heart hammering in his chest. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to leave immediately. "We're done here," he said quietly. "Everyone out. Now." They moved quickly, too quickly to appear calm. As they reached the stairs, the humming sound grew louder for a moment. Then it stopped. As if the darkness itself were watching them leave. Underscore 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 the decision. Back on the deck, the men exhaled as if they had emerged from underwater. Sanders reported to Captain Baker via shouted exchange across the gap between the two ships. "Everyone's dead. No survivors. Something happened down there. Can we tow her?" Baker asked. Sanders hesitated. His instincts told him the ship needed to sink. "It's risky," he said finally. "But maybe." Baker wanted answers. Every captain would. So he ordered the tow line prepared. But fate had other plans. underscore 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 the fire without reason. Just as the crew of the Silver Star prepared to secure the line, smoke began to rise from the lower decks of the Ourang Medan. At first it was faint, thin, white threads drifting lazily into the air. But within seconds, it thickened into dark plumes. Fire! Someone shouted. How? Nothing down there could ignite. Then the explosion came. A deep, resonant roar shook the entire hull. Flames erupted from the hold, licking up the sides of the ship like grasping fingers. Sanders barely made it over the rail to the safety of the Silver Star before the blast intensified. Within minutes, the Ourang Medan was ablaze, an inferno on the open sea. And then, as if swallowed by the ocean itself, the ship began to sink. Bow first. Slowly, silently, until only the tip of its mast remained. Then it was gone, taking its secrets with it. Underscore 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 underscore. The incident haunted the crew of the Silver Star for the rest of their lives. Some spoke of hearing strange whispers from the cargo hold. Others claimed to feel cold spots on the deck long after leaving the area. A few never spoke of it at all. To this day, the tale of the Ourang Medan remains one of the most disturbing, mysterious maritime ghost encounters ever recorded. Some believe the crew suffocated from leaking chemical weapons. Some think they were victims of a deadly gas explosion. Others insist something far stranger happened, something unexplainable, invisible, and patient. But the truth? The ocean swallowed it long ago. And the sea never gives back what it doesn't want to.